Good morning, Pittsburgh. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of Daybreak. I'm Brianna McCall.
And I'm Taylor Spirito. On today's episode, Point Park's United Student Government is looking for your help, and all you have to do is complain. We have the details.
And a new public art installation just opened in Belts Hoover. Find out just how unique it is coming up.
And one street in the Southside Flats, will be closed during the first week of November. We'll let you know if this affects your normal commute.
And of course, our reporters will catch you up to speed on everything you need to know in sports, national, and tech news.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts right now.
Start your mornings with us, only on Daybreak.
So October is coming down with 1 week left, which means we're closer to winter. I mean, it's already been chilly and crazy outside already, but I'm scared for what's coming up. I don't know. Are we expecting rain, snow? It's going to be terrible. I
know. And this is that time of year where it's starting to rain so much.
Yes.
And my umbrella just broke, so I'm not here for it. I also just don't want to lug around a giant rain jacket the whole time. So I just am willing to get soaked, but I don't like it. I like watching the rain. It's like the snow. I like watching the snow.
I like being in my house in my bed while it's raining.
Yeah, if I have to go outside,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we're going to get some good news. Trish, what do you have for us over at Weather?
Thank you and good morning to you all. This weekend in Pittsburgh, we expect to see cloudy skies and some rain. Starting Friday, as we witness mostly cloudy skies with a high of 63 and a low of 45. But as we move on to Saturday, we expect an 80% chance of rain starting at around 1 p.m. and will continue nonstop until Sunday afternoon, with a low averaging in the low 50s range. So keep those umbrellas handy and plan your weekend festivities accordingly. I'm Trish Miralles. Thanks for tuning in. Back to you, Bri and Taylor.
Wow, we jinxed it. Rain. We're
I know.
expecting rain for 2 days.
You know, we
back.
should have knocked on wood.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm not looking forward to rain. I cannot do another week of rain. I know next week is supposed to be rainy. Hopefully it clears up.
And I do like those warm temperatures, but at the same time, when you've got that rain and you've got that heat, my hair just goes.
It just doesn't. What do you wear?
Exactly. Do you dress in a sweater in the very beginning of the day and then go on to sweat the rest of the day, or do you just freeze in the beginning and then just be fine the rest of the day?
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I willing to sacrifice at that point?
Just stay inside. Don't go out.
Honestly, I'm about to. But here's your campus news.
In commemoration of Gandhi's 150th birthday earlier this month, students got to celebrate him on Tuesday. The Sail Club, International Student Services, and Spiritual Life hosted Gandhi at 150 in support of his legacy and all of the great work Gandhi has done. Community Coordinator of Spiritual Life, Jennifer McCurry, says Gandhi is an inspiration and guide to different generations who advocate for justice and peace. At this event, students wrote letters to legislators on issues of peace and justice and learned about his life through short presentations.
October is almost over, which means that it's the perfect time for some Rocky Horror. SAEM Club's annual Rocky Horror Picture Show is showing this weekend. While this movie can stand on its own, SAEM Club spices it up by adding a shadow cast, meaning actors and actresses from all skill sets get on stage to perform the show while the movie itself is also playing. These unique performances took place on October 25th at midnight and October 26th at 8 p.m. and midnight.
And the United Student Government is giving students a platform to let some things off their chests. That's right, the USG Student Concerns Committee are hosting Come Complain, an event for students to complain to USG senators. USG will collect student concerns and discuss issues that are given to them. This event takes place in Lawrence Hall Ballroom at 8 p.m. this evening. And if you are unable to make it, you can email USG President Jake Berlin with any complaints that you may have.
So Bri, I love that concept of having that complaining session.
Yeah.
Just because as students, it's that point of the year where all they really want to do is complain.
Right, exactly.
And now there's a platform to do it and have those complaints actually be heard and have something be done about them. Have you ever, because I know that they've had this in the past years, have you attended those events in the past? Or?
I've actually never heard of this event. I mean, I usually don't keep up to date with events for real, but I think it's great that they have this for students. I think it makes them feel comfortable. I mean, when I saw this, I don't have anything in mind that I could complain about, but for people who do need to really get some things off their chest about how they feel about Point Park, I think it's great for them to be able to go and speak to the people who are actually able to do something about the issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember in my City Uni class freshman year, people were complaining all the time about stuff that was going on that they couldn't necessarily control. So like you said, I also think this is a really good resource for the students to have.
Yep. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll give you an inside look on the public's reaction to President Donald Trump's visit on Wednesday.
And our national reporter will give you the details on a close call for a high school in Oregon. We'll be right back.
Go. Go to our new website, uview.pointpark.edu.
Go, 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 go.
Join UView and find your herd.
Be like, join EOP. And 3, 2, join EOP.
I was just saying, grab them now, or else I can.
Yeah.
Join on point with politics. 3, 2, 1.
Join Pioneer Sideline.
Loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Welcome back to Daybreak. Here's your city news.
A new public art installation opened at McKinley Park in Beltsuver on Wednesday. According to a press release from the Office of the Mayor, the project, titled Home Court Advantage, was proposed by local artist Janelle Young and was designed in consultation with input from the local community and youth from Voices Against Violence. Local artist Janelle Young created the art installation on a basketball court in Upper McKinley Park with the help of the Urban Redevelopment Authority. The press release states that, quote, the artist pulled from her previous original works and experiences to develop 2 bold and exciting color palettes and an uplifting phrase for the court that embodies the express themes. There is victory in unity. The word victory being applicable to both the basketball court and to everyday life, end quote.
And a portion of South 18th Street is expected to close for approximately 1 week in November due to construction. CSX Railroad Company will be laying new tracks across South 18th Street and the Southside Flats from November 4th through the 8th. A press release states that the South 18th Street at Southside Shore Court will be closed for the entire week, and there will be no vehicle access to Southside Riverfront Park and the Southside Dog Park. Pedestrian and bicycle access will still be available to the park via South Water Street at South 2017th Street.
President Trump came to town on Wednesday to speak at the Shale Insight Conference at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Daybreak co-host Nick Tomarillo previously gave you everything you needed to know before the conference took place.
That's right, Taylor. And while he prepped us for the event, he didn't prepare us for the piles of protests that took place around Pittsburgh. I actually went out on the streets and talked to Steel City residents to see what they had to say. President Donald Trump visited Pittsburgh to speak at the annual Shale Insight Conference. Upon his arrival, hundreds of people gathered around for an anti-fracking protest.
But right now, we have to operate as if there's still time. We have to operate with an inspiring power. We have to operate as if what we do now can change and alter the future.
Fracking, also known as hydraulic fracturing, is used to free up oil and natural gas from dense rock formations, which is mostly responsible for contaminated water across the country. The Allegheny County is one of the many areas that are affected from this type of drilling. Some say they are still without clean water.
I have to go and purchase it at Whole Foods 3 times a week to get clean water. And even the reverse osmosis water does not remove the lubricants from the fracking drill bits that fractures into the earth, and it cannot take out all those pollutants that are in the Allegheny.
Air pollution is also another result of fracking, which has people concerned about future Earth.
I am part of Zone Generation, and I want my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, and the next 7 generations to have a better future.
While many were here to protest, others believe that fracking has benefits for the community.
Fracking gives jobs, and it puts an end to the false dependence on foreign oil.
This was one of the several peaceful protests held outside of the convention center as a call for action. For UView Television, I'm Brianna McCall.
So, Bree, I have to ask, you were right in the thick of things.
Yeah.
How was that, actually?
Oh my gosh, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I got there at 2:40. They were supposed to be protesting at 3:30. So I tried to get there early, and I get there, there's this huge crowd, like huge, covering the streets, and I didn't even know where to go. And also they had performers and people speaking and like just a whole bunch of good stuff going on. And they also had multiple protests happening. When I got there, the indigenous activist protest was happening. Then they had the anti-fracking protest. Then they had the women's rights protest, and then I think there was like a homeless walk that they had. They had all of that, and I think they even had more following throughout the evening, which was crazy because I know Trump was only there for like a short time, being that he was speaking and leaving, but they were out there till the night. And there were even protests at different locations. I was at the convention center, but they had different protests like by the Allegheny River and I forgot where else. But yeah, I think somewhere downtown, but yeah, they were all over.
That's absolutely insane.
But it was good to see all those people there and actually wanting to take action because it's important. I mean, we do need clean water, so it's good that we have those people like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of taking action, from local to national, one Oregon teacher is being hailed as a hero for stopping what could have potentially been a tragedy.
Maddie Gillespie joins us in studio to discuss the details. Maddie?
Thanks, Brian Taylor. Surveillance footage captured at Parkrose High School in Oregon shows the moment Keenan Lowe, a football and track and field coach, disarmed a student with a shotgun and then held him in a tight hug. In the video, Lowe is seen exiting a classroom and holding a shotgun while backing away from student Angel Granados Diaz. Another teacher is then seen coming up and taking the weapon away. After leaving the classroom, he pulls Granados Diaz into a hug. At one point, it looks like Granados Diaz tries to break free, but Lowe continued to hold on to him until police arrived to take him into custody. Lowe was hailed a hero following the incident, and Portland Police Sergeant Brad Yako said, quote, "This was a best-case scenario. The staff members from all accounts did an excellent job," end quote. Granados Diaz was suffering from a mental health crisis at the time and pleaded guilty to 1 count of unlawful possession of a firearm in a public building and 1 count of unlawful possession of a loaded firearm in public. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation. Lowe, who was a former Oregon Ducks football player, said that when the student entered the classroom with the weapon, he was close enough that he was able to lunge for the gun and disarm him, and that he barely had any time to think about his own safety, and his main concern was to keep the student safe. He said, quote, "I feel like I was put in that room for a reason. You know, the shooter didn't know that I was in that room when he opened the door, and I think there are things in my life that have prepared me for that very moment. I thank God that no one got hurt, and I thank God I was in that room," end quote. That's all for national news. Let's send it back over to our lovely ladies at the couch.
Thanks, Maddie. After the break, our sports reporter will fill you in on which Steel City team has their eyes set on a postseason run.
And I'll be sitting down with a Point Park alumni for an exclusive interview. We'll be back.
The United Student Government at Point Park University, working since the 1970s to solve the issues that matter to you. What concerns do you have about the university? Student life, safety, food service? Send us an email to studentconcerns@pointpark.edu or stop by our office on the 7th floor of the Student Center. You can also attend our weekly open meetings on Mondays at 3:15. Follow us on social media at USG_PPU for more. The United Student Government. By the students. For the students.
The Point Park Sports Network, bringing you live coverage of Pioneer Athletics on Stretch Internet, the home of the River States Conference and the NAIA. Subscribe today for complete access to the Point Park volleyball, baseball, basketball, and soccer teams. Watch live and on-demand broadcasts, and don't miss a minute of Point Park Athletics. Head to pointparksports.com/live for broadcast listings. The Point Park Sports Network, your streaming home for Point Park Athletics.
3, 2, 1.
Please visit our website. Please, it's a nice website. Please visit our website. Please.
If you have ever watched television, whether accidentally or on purpose, YouView is for you.
Welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Trish Medayas with your timely tech news. If you ever happened to be around the neighborhood of Oakland last week, you may have seen these cooler-sized robots roaming on the sidewalks. These self-driving robots are designed by Starship Technologies as they plan to automate food delivery in college campuses across the country. Measured at merely 2 feet and 40 pounds, these robots can carry up to 20 pounds of food and travel at a pedestrian speed of 5 miles per hour. According to Starship Technologies, each 6-wheeled robot is plated with a camera and motion sensor system to safely navigate around traffic and pedestrians. To prevent theft, there is a tracking feature in a lock system that is only to be controlled by the customer via mobile app. Although the company highlights the 100,000 deliveries completed by these rolling robots, they still present a few challenges. Just last Monday, a wheelchair user posted this tweet about her negative experience with this innovation. She reported being blocked by a food delivery robot from using the only accessible ramp to the sidewalk. In response to this, the University of Pittsburgh made an announcement to temporarily pause testing on food delivery robots until further accessible changes are made. That's all for this week's tech news. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's take it back to the couch with Brianna McCall for Breaking It Down with Bree.
Thanks, Trish. Today on Breaking It Down with Bree, I have with me a special guest. She is a Point Park alum, and she is here to talk about broadcast and life after Point Park, and her name is Elena LaQuatra.
Hey,
Thank
girl.
you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No
I'm happy
problem.
to be back at Point Park.
I know. How long has it been?
It's been almost 5 years now since
Wow.
I've been back. Well, I mean, I've been back for a few stories, believe it or not, with my job at WTAE, but to sit down and be in this studio again, it's been about 5 years.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned that you work at WTAE now. What was your journey like after Point Park? Like, where did you start and how did you get into the swing of things?
Well, you know what? I wasn't in a big rush to get a job right after college because I had a lot of other things I wanted to pursue, including competing for the title of Miss Pennsylvania USA, which I won. It was a great opportunity. I had a phenomenal year. I competed at the National Miss USA stage, which was fantastic.
Huge.
It was huge. It was awesome. I just made so many connections in that year that I'm very thankful for. So, you know, after college, my goal was to win that title. But everything worked out so perfectly in my life where there was a job at WTAE that popped up. It was for a digital content creator. So essentially I was a reporter, but it was for an online lifestyle and entertainment channel that WTAE had created called For the 412, Channel 4 and then 412.
That's cute. I like that.
Yep, it was so much fun. We literally just covered anything that was fun happening in Pittsburgh. So restaurant openings, festivals, fairs, the furry convention.
That's so cool.
Picklesburg, you know, anything that was going on, we covered it for web and digital content. So I had that job for about 1.5 years. It was part-time, so I was able to juggle being Miss Pennsylvania and that job at WTAE. And I obviously got so close with everybody there, including my boss, the news director. And so when that program wrapped up, it was right around the time when Miss Pennsylvania, it was time to give up the title to the next girl. Very sad, but you know, it's only a year-long ordeal. So gave up the title to the next girl. For the 412 wrapped. It was just a 1.5 year long project. And then I, you know, I told my boss, Pittsburgh's my goal. I'm a lifer here. This is my hometown. I want to be back in Pittsburgh. And he said, get some small market experience, stay in touch with me, and then when there's an opportunity, we'll bring you back to Pittsburgh. And that's exactly what happened. I went up to Erie for 2 years, a little less than 2 years, and I gained so much important experience and knowledge while I was there. I cannot tell you how important it is to get that small news experience. And then I just hustled. I bothered my boss all the time, my boss now. I emailed him constantly. I emailed the anchors, the reporters.
So you did mention how important it is to, you know, get that experience in the small markets. I know with broadcast, a lot of people don't realize that you have to take small steps to get to the top. Right. So while you were here at Point Park, did you, aside from going to Erie after graduation, did you do any internships or get any experience at outside of the school to get into broadcast?
Absolutely. Well, internships, I did one at KDKA. I was an intern for Pittsburgh Today Live with Christine Sorensen, who was the host at the time, and just incredible experience from that. And I stayed so close with Christine Sorensen as well, who was a mentor for me throughout my years. And it's funny because we're competitors now. You know, she works at KDKA and I'm at TAE, but she's still one of my closest friends in the business. I mean, I look up to her so much. I turn to her for advice. We go to lunch together. So I really admire her work ethic and her as a journalist. And then I also interned at WPXI, which I did not do news. I actually did the digital department for that. Truthfully, because that's all they had open. When I was
it's okay, getting the foot through the door is all that matters.
Exactly. But just having the experience in both those news stations really helped prepare me for what it would be like in a bigger market when I eventually did get back to Pittsburgh. But aside from that, real life experience is so important.
Yes.
From when I was about 18 until I went up to Erie and pursued a full-time career in broadcast, I was so passionate, and I felt it was so important to pursue opportunities outside of the college setting and outside of just an internship. So I was the spokesperson for Meadows Racetrack and Casino. I was the spokesperson for Tanger Outlets. I did commercials for Hyatt Hotels. I just took on any and all speaking opportunities in front of a camera that I could. And that really, well, first of all, it paid, which was great. But aside from that, the experience and the practice I got from years of doing that type of work was really beneficial.
That's really good. I would have never thought, you know, to go out and do like voiceovers, or just anything outside of like broadcast. But it's true, your delivery is really important skill as being a reporter.
Absolutely.
I would have never thought that. That's great advice.
Absolutely. And it gave me a little bit of that entertainment experience too, because you don't get that in the news world. So
it's like
it's very stiff, it's very serious breaking news every day, so to have that kind of entertainment, more fun experience was really important too.
Yeah, and being versatile as well.
Yes.
So tell us what your day-to-day work is like.
Well, I'm the morning reporter, so I wake up at 1 in the morning. It's great. I'm like way past my bedtime right now. So the wake-up call is a little tough. I get into work at 3 in the morning. I figure out what the story is. If it's breaking news, we're out the door right away. If it's something that maybe happened a few hours prior, then it's a matter of trying to get some details and information in order to put a script and a story together for our morning newscast, which is from 4:30 till 7 in the morning.
Wow.
I do 6 live shots typically. Sometimes if it's major breaking news, I can do upwards of 10, 12 live shots within that time frame. And if it's really big breaking news, I'll also do live shots during the cut-in. So there have been days where I've done 20 or more live shots just within my morning, just within the first part of my shift. And then once the show wraps up, the second half of my shift, I put a story together for the noon newscast. So typically if I'm following like a shooting, a fatal shooting, that's something I'll follow up on that will air at noon. So what's the latest development? Has the person been identified? What are police saying, the circumstances surrounding the shooting? Has the suspect been identified? Other times, if it's a little bit lighter of a news day and there's nothing breaking, they'll maybe send me to court to cover a court hearing. Every now and again, I get a really cool, positive story. Good Morning America was in town a couple weeks ago, so I got to cover them being here and work with the Good Morning America and ABC News crew, which was really awesome. So it's something different every day, and that's why I really love this business as much as I do. I'm never bored. I've never been bored one day on this job.
And you're not stuck in the office all day. You're out getting something new every day.
Exactly. I don't even know what my desk looks like because I'm really never there. I work from a live truck on my little laptop.
And you also mentioned before we were speaking that you do traffic sometimes.
I do.
What's that like for you?
That's a totally different experience than reporting. So I'm very lucky that my bosses gave me the opportunity to be the fill-in traffic anchor. I've been on traffic all this week and last week actually, while our traffic anchor was out of town, and then she was filling in on the anchor desk. So it's totally different. It's a lot more technology. I have to build graphics. I have to really follow the traffic patterns. I know Pittsburgh like the back of my hand now. Parkway East, Parkway West coming inbound. Left shoulder's blocked due to a multi-vehicle accident. And this was all jargon I wasn't familiar with at all starting off in this business. So it's definitely been a learning experience. But at this point, I do feel super comfortable with the traffic. I'm not intimidated by it anymore. But totally different experience from reporting. I'm in studio, working with the anchors. But I love it. I love everything I do. I love working for WTA.
That's good. And one more thing before we go. Any one specific tip that you could give to students who are interested in broadcast or just want to get a head start with journalism?
Oh, look at the camera. Hustle, hustle, hustle. I'm telling you, this business is so competitive. So many people want to do it that you can't just say, oh, I did an internship and I'm going to go and get this great job. You have to work so hard. You have to be in contact with people constantly, just like I was with my bosses and anchors. I mean, don't think you're bothering them. I'm so happy when students reach out to me asking me for advice or help. And I'm going to remember them. I'm going to remember them over anybody who reaches out to me when there's a job opening. So definitely hustle, work your hardest. If you want to be in this, you just have to kind of have that perseverance and be dedicated to putting in the hard years where you're making no money, living in a small town where it snows 17 feet in one winter season, Erie. But once you get to that point where you're really happy and it's your dream job like I am right now, it's so worth it. I love what I do every day, that I wake up at 1 in the morning happily every morning.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Daybreak, thank you for joining us. And don't go anywhere because we have our sports story coming up.
Thanks, Bree. The Pittsburgh Steelers had their bye week last week, and they went into it with a record of 2-4. They will be back on October 28th for some Monday Night Football. The Steelers will take on the Miami Dolphins at 8:15. Transitioning from football to hockey, the Penguins traveled down to Florida this week, and the Sunshine State NHL teams really brought the heat. Both the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning were victorious over the 5-time Stanley Cup champions. The Penguins' last game was Wednesday night against the Lightning, and while it was a close game, Victor Hedman scored with less than a minute left in the game, giving the Lightning the lead with a final score of 3-2. The Penguins will have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps because their next game is Saturday, October 26th against the Dallas Stars. Transitioning from the rink to the pitch, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds clinched the #1 seed in the USL playoffs. This is the first time in club's history that they are the top seed in their division. Postseason kicks off for the Hounds this Saturday at 7 p.m. against the Birmingham Legion right here in Pittsburgh at Highmark Stadium. That's your Pittsburgh sports news. Let's send it back to the couch for this week's Ray of Sunshine with Taylor and Bree.
Thanks, Lindsay. Before we go, we'd like to share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
In case you don't know, Ray of Sunshine is our way of starting your day with a smile and an inspirational quote.
This week's quote is, quote, "It is never too late or too soon. It is when it is supposed to be," by Mitch Albom. I think that's my favorite quote so far.
Yeah.
I love that because, you know, I always try to take control of the future. Like, I need to know. Like, I just need to know ahead of time. But lately, I've been letting things go by. Like, I'm always like, oh, am I behind? Or, like, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? But I'm just going with the flow. Whatever happens, happens.
Right. Like, I like to schedule everything well in advance. Like, I literally planned out my entire college schedule, my freshman year. Like, literally the first semester, I planned out all the classes that I wanted to take and when I was going to take them.
Yeah.
And especially that first semester where it didn't exactly work out the way I wanted to, that was hard.
Yeah.
But now I'm, like you said, just trying to learn to let things go with the flow, especially those things like that I can't control.
Yeah.
You know, like if you let those things that you can't control get to you like that, it's gonna tear you apart.
Oh, it's gonna shut me down.
Yeah.
I cannot go back to that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in college thus far, is that
sure.
you have to learn to let things go, especially those things that aren't in your control.
Unfortunately.
But that's all we've got for Daybreak this week. Thank you so much for watching.
You can catch clips from today's episode and all of our previous episodes on Facebook at Daybreak on YouView.
And don't forget to check out the full episode and all of our episodes from YouView on our website, uview.pointpark.edu. Tune in next week for the news you need. I'm Taylor Spirito.
And I'm Brianna McCall, hoping your news is good news. Have a great week, everyone.